Hello, and welcome to the Sleepy Historian, ****. Settle in now, letting your body sink softly into the quiet comfort of your bed. Feel the gentle weight of the blankets, the soft support beneath you. Allow your breath to deepen, slowly, rhythmically, guiding you into a state of profound calm. With each exhale, release any lingering tension, any thoughts that cling to the edges of your awareness. You are here, now, ready to drift as your mind begins to quiet. Imagine a time long, long ago when the world felt vast and uncharted, yet human curiosity burned brightly. Picture the very first whisper of pathways, not grand roads, but faint, tracks worn by footsteps, leading from one small settlement to another. These were the earliest threads of connection, spun not by machines, but by the simple human desire to explore, to discover, to exchange. Feel the ancient earth beneath you, not as solid ground, but as a vast, living tapestry. This tapestry is woven from countless journeys, from the silent steps of individuals carrying precious goods, from the slow, steady pace of animals bearing burdens. Each thread represents a path, a trade route, a connection between distant lands and peoples. Your peaceful journey tonight begins where these paths first met, where the idea of exchange first took root. Imagine a time when a shimmering piece of silk, or a fragrant spice, or a rare gem was not just an object, but a story, a whisper from a faraway place. These early exchanges were like tiny seeds carried by the wind across vast distances, eventually sprouting into something magnificent. Think of it like the very first drops of water forming a stream. At first, it's just a trickle, finding its way through the landscape. But as more drops join, as more pathways connect, the stream grows into a river, then a mighty network of rivers flowing across continents. This is how the Silk Road began, not as a single road, but as a complex, intertwining web of routes, a circulatory system for the ancient world. As you breathe deeply, imagine the earliest travelers. They were not armies, but adventurers, merchants, scholars, and pilgrims. Their motivations were varied: the promise of wealth, the pursuit of knowledge, the yearning for spiritual enlightenment, or simply the innate human desire to see what lies beyond the horizon. Their journeys were slow, arduous, and often perilous, yet they were driven by a quiet determination, a deep-seated curiosity. Picture the goods that first sparked these connections. Perhaps it was a unique type of pottery, or a special kind of metal, or a particular grain that grew nowhere else. These items, seemingly simple to us now, were exotic and valuable in their time, creating a demand that encouraged brave souls to venture forth. The very act of carrying these goods across vast distances imbued them with an almost magical quality, a sense of wonder. Feel the quiet anticipation of these early exchanges. Imagine a merchant from one village meeting a merchant from another, their eyes wide with curiosity as they examine each other's wares. The language might be different, the customs unfamiliar, but the universal language of trade, of mutual benefit, bridges the gap. This is where understanding begins, where cultures first touch and intertwine. The landscape itself, in these early days, was largely untamed. Vast deserts stretched under burning suns, towering mountains scraped the sky, and dense forests held unknown dangers. Yet the desire to connect, to exchange, to discover, was stronger than the fear of the unknown. These early pathways were carved not by engineering, but by persistence, by the repeated passage of feet and hooves. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the sounds of these early journeys, the soft padding of bare feet, the rhythmic breathing of pack animals, the gentle rustle of wind through desert grasses. These sounds are soothing, ancient, carrying the echoes of countless journeys that laid the foundation for something truly grand. Consider the role of knowledge in these early pathways. It wasn't just goods that were exchanged. Ideas, stories, techniques, and observations about the world were also carried along these routes, like invisible seeds. A new way of farming, a different method of weaving, a unique philosophical concept. These intellectual treasures traveled alongside the material ones, enriching the lives of those they touched. The first whisper of pathways was a quiet revolution. It transformed isolated communities into interconnected networks. It fostered a sense of shared humanity, a dawning realization that even the most distant peoples had something valuable to offer one another. It was the beginning of a global conversation, conducted not through words alone, but through the silent language of trade and cultural exchange. Think of the patience required for these journeys. Months, sometimes even years, would pass between the departure and return of a traveler. News from distant lands was slow to arrive, carried by word of mouth, by the occasional letter, by the very goods themselves. This slow pace fostered a deeper appreciation for the journey itself, for the subtle changes in the landscape, for the unique cultures encountered along the way. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, consider this humble beginning. From these faint tracks, from these first whispers of pathways, something immense would grow. The human desire to connect, to exchange, to understand, would eventually weave a vast, intricate network across continents, a network that would shape the course of history. What wonders would these pathways eventually reveal, and what incredible stories would they carry across the sands of time? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Imagine now the desert, not as a harsh, unforgiving place, but as a vast, serene expanse, stretching endlessly under a sky that shifts from brilliant blue to fiery orange at dusk. Feel the desert's gentle heat, a warmth that permeates the very air, soothing and deep. Picture the ancient grains of sand, countless and timeless, softly meeting, shifting subtly with every breath of wind. This is a landscape of profound silence, broken only by the whisper of the breeze, carrying secrets from ages past. In this quiet immensity, the earliest forms of exchange began. Think of it like the subtle shifting of sand dunes, slowly changing the landscape over vast stretches of time. These early exchanges were not grand transactions, but simple acts of bartering, born of necessity and curiosity. Perhaps a hunter traded a rare pelt for a farmer's surplus grain, or a craftsman exchanged a unique tool for a precious mineral found in a distant land. As you breathe deeply, imagine the first goods that traveled across these silent, sandy expanses. Perhaps it was obsidian, a dark volcanic glass, prized for its sharp edges, found in one region and desired in another, or a vibrant pigment ground from rare stones, used to adorn bodies or create lasting art. These items, seemingly simple, held immense value in their time, sparking the desire to venture forth, to connect with those who possessed what was needed or desired. Feel the quiet anticipation of these early encounters. Imagine two small groups, perhaps from different valleys or oases, cautiously approaching each other. There might be initial apprehension, a sense of the unknown. But then, the universal language of shared need, of mutual benefit, begins to bridge the gap. A gesture, a displayed item, a simple nod of understanding. This is where the seeds of exchange are planted, tiny acts of trust that would grow into vast networks. The desert, in this context, is not an empty void, but a vast, silent witness. It holds stories, whispered by the breeze, of countless journeys, of brave souls who dared to cross its formidable stretches. It teaches patience, resilience, and a deep respect for the elements. To travel here required intimate knowledge of the land, of the hidden wells, of the subtle signs of changing weather. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the slow, rhythmic pace of these early journeys. There were no horses to carry heavy loads, only human feet, or perhaps the sturdy, patient donkeys, their hooves making soft imprints in the sand. Each step was deliberate, each day a test of endurance. But with each step, the world expanded, new horizons revealed themselves, and the possibilities of exchange grew. Consider the concept of value in these ancient times. It was not just about monetary worth, but about utility, rarity, and the stories an item carried. A piece of jade, brought from a distant mountain, might be valued not only for its beauty, but for the incredible journey it undertook, for the hands it passed through. These goods were imbued with a sense of wonder, a connection to faraway lands. The early routes were not fixed highways, but fluid pathways, shifting with the seasons, adapting to the availability of water and safe passage. They were like invisible rivers, flowing across the land, carrying not water, but goods and ideas. These were the veins of early commerce, slowly, tentatively connecting the isolated pockets of human civilization. Think of the knowledge that traveled alongside the goods, how to cultivate a new crop, how to fashion a stronger tool, how to heal an ailment with a different herb. These were the intangible seeds of exchange, carried by word of mouth, by observation, by imitation. They enriched communities, fostered innovation, and slowly, subtly, changed the way people lived. The earth holds these stories deep within its ancient layers. The faint traces of ancient settlements near forgotten wells, the scattered shards of pottery from distant lands, the subtle shifting of the dunes that once bore the weight of early travelers. These are the silent witnesses to the timeless dance of exchange, a dance that began with the simplest of needs and grew into a complex web of connections. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, consider these humble beginnings. From these ancient grains of sand, from these first tentative exchanges, a vast and intricate network would eventually emerge. The human desire to connect, to share, to trade, proved to be an irresistible force, slowly, gently weaving the fabric of a global civilization. What wonders would these early pathways eventually reveal, and what incredible stories would they carry across the sands of time? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Imagine now the desert, not as an empty void, but as a vast, living canvas, painted with shifting sands and sculpted by the wind. Feel the rhythmic sway, the gentle, almost hypnotic motion of camels walking, their soft pads making barely a sound on the sand. Picture them, a long, winding line, silhouetted against the setting sun, their forms etched against the fiery orange and deep purple of the twilight sky. This is the heart of the Silk Road, the iconic image of its enduring journey. These are the caravans of dreams. Each camel, each merchant, each traveler carries not just physical goods, but hopes, ambitions, and stories from faraway lands. The journey is silent, a patient, steady pace that defies the urgency of modern life. It is a rhythm dictated by the desert itself, by the rising and setting of the sun, by the need for rest and water as you breathe deeply. Imagine the merchants who led these caravans. Their faces are weathered by sun and wind, their eyes keen and observant. They are not just traders. They are adventurers, diplomats, and storytellers. They carry not only their precious cargo, but also the knowledge of distant markets, the customs of foreign peoples, and the wisdom gained from countless miles on the road. Feel the quiet determination that propels them forward. The desert can be harsh, the mountains formidable, and the distances immense. Yet they persist, driven by the promise of exchange, by the allure of exotic goods, and by the profound human desire to connect. Their patience is a deep well, drawn upon with every slow, deliberate step. Think of the camels, these magnificent creatures perfectly adapted to the desert environment. Their wide, padded feet prevent them from sinking into the sand. Their ability to store water allows them to travel for days without replenishment. Their calm, steady demeanor makes them ideal companions for these long, arduous journeys. They are the silent heroes of the Silk Road, carrying the weight of empires on their backs. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the sounds of a caravan at rest, the soft snorting of camels, the gentle murmur of voices around a small campfire, the crackle of burning wood. The vast silence of the desert envelops them, punctuated only by these gentle sounds. Above, the stars blaze with an intensity rarely seen in more populated lands, a celestial map guiding their way. The goods carried by these caravans were not just commodities, they were cultural ambassadors. Silk from the distant lands of China shimmered with an almost magical quality, a testament to the artistry of its creators. Spices from the lush lands of India and beyond carried the exotic scents of faraway places, transforming cuisines and medicines. Gems from the depths of ancient mines sparkled with timeless beauty, adorning royalty and symbolizing wealth. Consider the profound exchange that happened at every stop along the route. Merchants from different cultures would meet, their languages a barrier, but their shared purpose a bridge. They would communicate through gestures, through interpreters, through the universal language of trade. And in these interactions, ideas would be exchanged, stories told, and understanding fostered. The desert winds whisper tales of distant lands, carrying the scent of exotic spices, the faint sound of foreign music, the echoes of languages never before heard. These whispers are not loud or intrusive, but soft and gentle, inviting you to imagine the vastness of the world and the intricate web of connections that bound it. Together, that the rhythm of the caravan was a meditative one. Day after day, the slow, steady pace, the endless horizon, the unchanging sky. This repetitive motion, combined with the quiet beauty of the landscape, could induce a state of profound contemplation, a sense of oneness with the ancient earth. It was a journey not just across physical space, but through inner landscapes of thought and reflection. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine yourself a part of this silent journey. Feel the gentle sway, the patient rhythm, the quiet determination. The caravans of dreams continue their timeless dance, carrying not just goods, but the very essence of human connection across the sands of time. What new wonders will they encounter, and what profound exchanges will they facilitate as they slowly, steadily make their way across the vast, ancient world? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Asterisk as you breathe deeply. Imagine the sounds of an oasis, the gentle rustle of palm fronds in the breeze, the soft gurgle of water, the low murmur of human voices in many languages. There might be the gentle bleating of goats, the soft snorting of camels, and the distant calls of birds. These sounds blend into a soothing hum, a symphony of life in the heart of the desert. Feel the vibrant energy of these places. Merchants would unpack their wares, displaying shimmering silks, fragrant spices, and sparkling gems. Local inhabitants would bring their own goods to trade: dates, dried fruits, woven carpets, and fresh water. The air would be filled with the scent of exotic goods, mingled with the aroma of cooking fires and the sweet fragrance of date palms. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the cultural melting pot that an oasis became. Here, travelers from China might meet those from Persia, India, or even the distant Roman Empire. Their languages might differ, their customs unique, but they shared a common humanity, a shared purpose in the grand journey of trade. Ideas, stories, and knowledge flowed as freely as the water, carried by the travelers from one oasis to another. Consider the role of these oases in fostering understanding. In a world where communication was slow and direct contact rare, these stopping points were crucial. They were places where strangers could become acquaintances, where trust could be built, and where the vastness of the world could feel a little smaller, a little more connected. Each oasis was a small universe, reflecting the larger tapestry of the Silk Road. The architecture of the oases would have been simple yet functional: mud brick houses, shaded courtyards, and perhaps a small caravanserai, a roadside inn offering shelter and security. These structures were built to withstand the desert's extremes, providing comfort and protection for those who sought refuge within their walls. These islands of comfort hold stories untold, whispered by the desert winds and carried by the travelers who passed through them. Stories of perilous journeys, of successful trades, of unexpected encounters, and of the simple joy of finding water after days of thirst. Each oasis was a living archive, holding the memories of countless lives that touched its shores. Think of the profound relief that comes with reaching an oasis after a long, arduous journey. It is not just physical relief, but a deep, spiritual replenishment. The sight of green, the sound of water, the presence of other human beings, these simple things become incredibly precious, a reminder of life's resilience and beauty. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine yourself resting in the tranquil embrace of an oasis. Feel the cool air, hear the gentle sounds of life, and sense the quiet stories held within its shimmering green. These vital scenes were the beating hearts of the Silk Road, sustaining its long, gentle past. What new wonders will they reveal, and what profound exchanges will they facilitate as they slowly, steadily make their way across the vast, ancient world? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey to the very heart of the Silk Road's fame, to the delicate, shimmering secret that gave the entire network its name. Silk. Imagine now, not a vast landscape, but a small, quiet space, perhaps a humble home in ancient China. Picture the delicate thread, almost invisible at first, being unwound from a tiny cocoon. This is silk, a shimmering secret, a marvel of nature and human ingenuity. its origins shrouded in ancient words unsaid, guarded fiercely for centuries. Feel its soft touch, a whisper of distant lands. Even now, as you imagine it, silk is unlike any other fabric. It is smooth, cool, and incredibly strong, yet light as air. It drapes with an exquisite grace, shimmering with an inner luminescence that seems to capture and reflect light in a way no other material can. This unique quality made it immensely desirable, a luxury beyond compare in the ancient world. As you breathe deeply, imagine the patient, skilled, and gentle hands that cultivated this secret. The process of silk production, known as silk, was a closely guarded secret in China for thousands of years. It involved the careful raising of silkworms, feeding them mulberry leaves, and then harvesting the delicate cocoons they spun. Each step was meticulous, requiring immense patience and precise knowledge, passed down through generations. Think of the silkworm, a humble creature, yet capable of creating something so extraordinary. It spins its cocoon from a single, continuous filament, sometimes up to a mile long. This natural process, transformed by human skill into a refined art, is a testament to the wonders of the natural world and the ingenuity of human craftsmanship. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the journey of this precious fabric. From the quiet villages of China, where it was spun and woven, it began its long, arduous journey westward. It was carefully packed, protected from dust and moisture, loaded onto the backs of camels, and carried across vast deserts, over towering mountains, and through bustling oases. Each mile added to its mystique. Each transfer of hands increased its value. Feel the profound allure this fabric held for those in distant lands. In the Roman Empire, silk was a sensation. It was exotic, rare, and incredibly expensive, often worth its weight in gold. Roman emperors and empresses, senators and nobles craved its luxurious feel and shimmering beauty. It became a symbol of wealth, status, and sophistication, a whisper of the mysterious East. Consider the impact of this single commodity. The desire for silk was a primary driver for the establishment and expansion of the Silk Road. It was the magnet that drew merchants across continents, fostering connections, encouraging exploration, and facilitating the exchange of not just goods, but ideas, technologies, and cultures. Silk was more than just a fabric. It was a catalyst for global interaction. The secret of silk was guarded fiercely. Anyone caught smuggling silkworms or their eggs out of China faced severe punishment, even death. This secrecy only added to its mystique, making it even more desirable and valuable in the eyes of the Western world. It was a trade secret of immense geopolitical importance, shaping economic and diplomatic relations for centuries. Imagine the quiet wonder of those who first encountered silk in distant lands. They had never seen anything like it. A fabric so light, so soft, so luminous. It must have seemed like magic, a gift from another world. This sense of wonder, this appreciation for the exotic and the beautiful, fueled the demand that kept the Silk Road alive and thriving. This precious fabric holds a timeless allure, even today. Its beauty, its softness, its history all contribute to its enduring appeal. It reminds us of the power of a single extraordinary commodity to connect disparate parts of the world, to inspire journeys, and to weave together the fabric of human civilization. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the delicate thread of silk stretching across continents, connecting ancient cultures, carrying whispers of artistry and desire. Feel its soft touch, a reminder of the intricate connections that bind our world, past and present. What other secrets did these ancient trade routes carry, hidden within their precious cargo? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey beyond the shimmering secret of silk to another type of precious cargo that traveled the Silk Road, one that tantalized the senses and transformed cultures, spices. Imagine now not the vastness of the desert, but the lush, verdant landscapes of distant lands, India, Southeast Asia, the Spice Islands. Picture the vibrant colors of exotic plants, the rich, fertile soil, and the warm, humid air. And in this air, breathe in the fragrant aroma, a whisper from afar of spices carried. Beyond all compared, feel the rich aroma of cinnamon, warm and sweet, like a comforting embrace. Imagine the sharp, invigorating scent of ginger, awakening the senses. Picture the tiny, potent peppercorns, their fiery essence traveling thousands of miles. These were not just ingredients. They were treasures, highly prized for their ability to preserve food, to add flavor to bland diets, to create medicines, and even to be used in perfumes and religious rituals. As you breathe deeply, imagine the long, arduous journey these precious flavors undertook. From the dense jungles and sun-drenched plantations of their origin, they were carefully harvested, dried, and packed. Then they began their slow, deliberate journey westward, carried by human porters, loaded onto boats that navigated treacherous seas, and finally transferred to the backs of camels for the long trek across the Silk Road. Each stage of the journey added to their value, their mystique. Think of the merchants who specialized in this trade. They were not just traders. They were connoisseurs of scent and taste, understanding the subtle nuances of each spice, its origins, and its myriad uses. They knew the dangers of the journey, the immense profits to be made, and the insatiable demand for these exotic treasures in distant lands. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the impact of these spices on the cultures they reached. In Europe, where diets were often bland, and monotonous spices were a revelation, they transformed cooking, adding depth and complexity to dishes. They became a symbol of wealth and status, with only the wealthiest able to afford their luxurious flavors. A small pinch of pepper could be worth more than a day's wages. Feel the profound cultural exchange that occurred with the movement of these spices. Recipes traveled alongside the ingredients, transforming culinary traditions across continents. New flavors inspired new dishes, new ways of thinking about food and its preparation. The world became a more flavorful, more aromatic place because of these tiny, potent treasures. Consider the role of spices in medicine. Many ancient cultures believed that spices possessed powerful healing properties, capable of curing ailments, boosting vitality, and warding off disease. Turmeric, ginger, cloves. These were not just culinary delights, but essential components of ancient pharmacopoeias. Their medicinal secrets carried along the trade routes. The desire for these precious flavors was a powerful guiding force, like a distant, shining star, drawing merchants and adventurers across vast distances. It fueled exploration, encouraged innovation in shipbuilding and navigation, and created immense wealth for those who controlled the trade. The spice routes were an integral part of the larger Silk Road network, connecting distant lands through the universal language of taste and scent. Imagine the quiet wonder of those who first encountered these exotic aromas. They had never smelled anything like the sweet warmth of cinnamon or the fiery bite of black pepper. These scents were a tangible connection to faraway lands, a sensory journey to places they could only dream of. This sense of wonder, this appreciation for the exotic, fueled the demand that kept the spice trade thriving for centuries. These precious flavors tell tales of ancient trade, of long journeys, of cultural exchange, and of the enduring human desire for sensory delight. They remind us that even the smallest of commodities can have a profound impact on the course of history, shaping economies, transforming cultures, and connecting the world in unexpected ways. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the fragrant air, filled with the rich aroma of spices, carried on the gentle winds of time. Feel their subtle warmth, a whisper from afar, guiding your dreams to distant lands. What other wonders did these ancient trade routes carry, hidden within their precious cargo, shaping the very fabric of human experience? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Asterisk, let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey along the Silk Road, not just through landscapes and with goods, but through the grand, sweeping narratives of the mighty empires that shaped its very existence. Imagine now the ancient earth, vast and timeless, beneath you. Feel its soft hum, a deep vibration that resonates with the echoes of centuries past. This hum is the collective memory of mighty empires rising, stretching their influence across continents, and then, in time, gently succumbing, leaving behind silent legacies that still gently reside in the very fabric of the land and its people. Picture their vast shadows stretching far and wide, cast by the power of their armies, the brilliance of their administration, and the reach of their trade networks. These empires were not just political entities. They were the custodians of the Silk Road, providing the stability, security, and infrastructure that allowed trade to flourish across such immense distances. As you breathe deeply, imagine the Han dynasty in ancient China, a powerful and sophisticated empire that stretched across East Asia. It was the Han who first actively sought to extend their influence westward, driven by a desire for exotic goods like horses and jade, and to secure their borders. They sent envoys, like Zhong Qian, who ventured into unknown lands, bringing back not just goods, but invaluable knowledge about the western regions, sparking the true beginning of the Silk Road. Feel the quiet determination of their efforts to connect. The Han Empire built roads, established garrisons, and protected caravans from bandits, effectively creating a safe passage for trade. Their vast network of administration and their stable currency facilitated commerce, making it easier for merchants to travel and exchange goods. Their power, their influence, was a guiding hand, a silent force that allowed the threads of the Silk Road to weave across Asia. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the Roman Empire far to the west, a colossal power that stretched across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. Though they never directly controlled the eastern reaches of the Silk Road, their insatiable demand for luxury goods, especially silk, created a powerful pull that drew the precious cargo westward. Roman gold flowed eastward in exchange for Chinese silk, Indian spices, and Central Asian gems, creating a vast economic engine that fueled the trade. Think of the Persian empires, particularly the Parthian and later the Sasanian empires, which lay strategically between the Roman and Chinese spheres of influence. These empires acted as crucial intermediaries, controlling vital sections of the Silk Road, facilitating trade, and often profiting immensely from it. They were the gatekeepers, the cultural bridges, allowing goods and ideas to flow between East and West. Their sophisticated cities, like Ctesiphon, became bustling centers of commerce and cultural exchange. Feel the subtle interplay of power and cooperation between these empires. While they often engaged in warfare and political rivalry, they also recognized the mutual benefits of trade. Their very existence, their stability, and their desire for exotic goods created the conditions necessary for the Silk Road to thrive. When these empires were strong and stable, the Silk Road flourished. When they fragmented or weakened, trade became more perilous, and the routes less active. Consider the idea of power as their guide. It wasn't always direct control, but the influence of their laws, their currencies, their systems of governance that provided a framework for trade. A merchant traveling from China to Rome knew that, for much of his journey, he would be passing through lands governed by powerful, organized states, offering a degree of security and predictability. The silent legacies of these empires still gently reside in the very names of the cities along the Silk Road, in the ruins of ancient caravanserai, in the fragments of pottery found in archaeological digs. They are reminders of the vast human endeavors that shaped this ancient network, of the rise and fall of civilizations that were intimately connected by the flow of goods and ideas. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the vast shadows of these empires stretching across the ancient world, silently guiding the flow of trade. Feel the ancient earth's soft hum, carrying the echoes of their power and their eventual decline. Their stories are woven into the very fabric of the Silk Road, a testament to the enduring human desire for connection, even across the boundaries of empires. What other invisible currents flowed along these pathways, shaping not just economies, but the very beliefs of humankind? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey along the Silk Road, not just with goods and empires, but with something far more intangible, yet profoundly powerful: the whispers of beliefs, the spread of spiritual ideas that shaped civilizations. Imagine now the vast, ancient pathways, not just as conduits for silken spices, but as invisible channels for thought, for faith, for the deepest human yearnings. Feel the gentle touch of thought carried on the wind from one mind to another, from one culture to the next. This is where ancient wisdom, softly, has been sought and shared, transforming hearts and minds across continents. Picture sacred stories, carried on the breeze, not through grand armies or forceful conversions, but through the quiet, persistent efforts of pilgrims, monks, missionaries, and even merchants. These were individuals who traveled not just for trade, but for spiritual enlightenment, for the desire to share their understanding of the divine. As you breathe deeply, imagine the spread of Buddhism, from its origins in India. Its gentle teachings of compassion and enlightenment began to travel eastward along the Silk Road. Buddhist monks, with their simple robes and serene demeanor, journeyed across deserts and mountains, carrying sacred texts, statues, and the profound philosophy of the Dharma. They established monasteries in oases, carving magnificent cave temples into cliff sides, creating centers of learning and worship that became beacons of faith. Feel the solace and inner peace that these teachings offered to weary travelers and local populations alike. The Silk Road was a challenging, often dangerous journey, and the promise of spiritual comfort, of a path to understanding, suffering, and finding liberation, resonated deeply with many. Buddhism, with its emphasis on personal enlightenment and universal compassion, found fertile ground along these routes, spreading its influence across Central Asia and into China as you drift deeper into relaxation. Imagine the arrival of Christianity. Though its primary spread was westward into Europe, branches of Christianity, particularly Nestorian Christianity, also found their way eastward along the Silk Road. Christian merchants and missionaries carried their scriptures and their faith, establishing small communities in cities like Samarkand and Kashgar, leaving behind subtle traces of their presence. Think of the profound impact of Islam, originating in the Arabian Peninsula. Islam spread rapidly across the Middle East, North Africa, and into Central Asia, becoming a dominant force along many sections of the Silk Road. Muslim merchants, scholars, and Sufi mystics carried their faith, their laws, and their vibrant culture along the trade routes. They established mosques, schools, and charitable institutions, integrating trade with religious practice, creating a dynamic and influential presence. Feel the subtle interplay of these different belief systems. The Silk Road was not a place of religious conflict, but often of peaceful coexistence and mutual influence. Travelers encountered different faiths, observed different rituals, and sometimes even adopted new beliefs. Ideas and artistic styles intertwined, creating unique syncretic forms that reflected the rich tapestry of spiritual exchange. Consider the role of storytelling in the spread of these beliefs. Sacred narratives, parables, and philosophical discussions were shared around campfires in oases, in bustling market towns, and within the quiet confines of monasteries. These stories, carried by word of mouth, transcended language barriers, conveying profound truths in accessible ways. The Silk Road's pathways hold truths profound, not just about material wealth, but about the deepest human yearning for meaning and connection to something larger than oneself. It was a conduit for the invisible currents of faith, shaping the spiritual landscape of vast regions, leaving an indelible mark on the cultures it touched. Imagine the quiet dedication of those who carried these beliefs. They faced the same dangers and hardships as the merchants, but their cargo was spiritual, their missions sacred, their journeys were acts of devotion, their perseverance a testament to the power of their faith. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the sacred stories carried on the breeze, softly settling into the hearts of listeners across ancient lands. Feel the gentle touch of thought, connecting you to this timeless flow of wisdom and belief. What other invisible treasures flowed along these pathways, shaping not just economies, but the very way people understood their world and their place within it. These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey along the Silk Road, focusing not just on the goods themselves, but on the fascinating way they communicated, creating a silent language that transcended spoken words. Imagine now the bustling marketplaces of ancient cities along the Silk Road, Samarkand, Kashgar, Dunhuang. Picture merchants from different lands, speaking different tongues, their gestures and expressions conveying meaning where words might fail. And at the heart of their interaction, feel the quiet hum of exchange, where silent objects speak across a boundless range. These objects, whether a shimmering bolt of silk, a fragrant pouch of spices, or an intricately carved jade ornament, were more than just commodities. They were ambassadors, carrying messages about the cultures that produced them. Imagine their soft whispers, a story understood, not through translation, but through observation, through touch, through the very essence of their being. As you breathe deeply, imagine a piece of Chinese porcelain arriving in a Roman villa. Its delicate beauty, its smooth, translucent surface, its intricate patterns, these qualities spoke volumes about the advanced craftsmanship and aesthetic sensibilities of its distant creators. It communicated a level of artistry previously unknown, sparking wonder and admiration. The object itself became a silent teacher, expanding the worldview of those who beheld it. Feel the profound connection forged by these silent objects. A Roman coin, found in a Chinese tomb, speaks of a journey across continents, of trade that linked to vast empires. A Buddhist statue, crafted in India, found in a Central Asian oasis, tells a story of spiritual journeys and the spread of faith. These objects are tangible proof of interactions, of shared histories, of a world far more interconnected than one might imagine. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the way ideas were embedded within these goods. A new weaving technique, a particular glaze for pottery, a unique method of metalwork. These innovations traveled along the Silk Road, carried not just by human minds, but by the very objects themselves. A merchant might examine a foreign textile and discern the method of its creation, then adapt it to his own culture. This was the silent transfer of technology, a quiet revolution in craftsmanship. Think of the common good that emerged from this silent language. Trade, at its heart, is about mutual benefit. It encourages understanding, fosters cooperation, and creates a shared interest in peace and stability. When goods flow freely, people have a reason to interact, to learn about each other, to build bridges rather than walls. The Silk Road, through its treasures, told tales of unity, of the surprising ways in which disparate cultures could enrich one another. Consider the influence of artistic styles. A motif from Persian art might appear on a Chinese textile. A Buddhist image might incorporate Greek artistic elements. These subtle fusions, carried by the flow of goods, created new forms of expression, blending traditions and expanding the artistic vocabulary of entire regions. The objects themselves became a canvas for cultural dialogue. The Silk Road's treasures were not just about wealth. They were about knowledge, about connection, about the subtle ways in which humanity learns and grows through interaction. They were the silent communicators, speaking a universal language of craftsmanship, beauty, and utility. Imagine the quiet joy of a craftsman in a distant land, examining a foreign object, his eyes alight with curiosity, his mind absorbing its secrets. Or a scholar, studying a new material, pondering its origins, its journey, the hands it passed through. These are the moments when the silent language of goods truly comes alive, when understanding blooms. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the Silk Road's treasures, silently speaking across time and space, connecting distant cultures for the common good. Feel their soft whispers, a story understood, weaving a tapestry of unity across the ancient world. What other profound exchanges flowed along these pathways, shaping not just economies, but the very way people created and understood beauty. These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey along the Silk Road, not just with tangible goods, but with the invisible, yet powerful, currents of art, ideas, and knowledge that flowed between civilizations. Imagine now, not separate lands, but a vast interconnected canvas where the gentle blend of hues occurs. Picture the vibrant colors of Chinese silks meeting the intricate patterns of Persian carpets, the classical forms of Greek sculpture influencing Buddhist art. This is where cultures meet, and ancient knowledge imbues, creating something new and beautiful from the fusion of diverse traditions. Feel the subtle, graceful flow as patterns shifting, not just in textiles, but in architecture, in music, in philosophy. The Silk Road was a grand laboratory of cultural exchange, where ideas were tested, adapted, and transformed. It was a place where the art and alchemy of exchange softly grew, turning separate elements into a richer, more complex whole. As you breathe deeply, imagine the spread of artistic techniques. The art of glassmaking, originating in the Middle East, traveled eastward, influencing Chinese artisans. The intricate metalwork of Central Asia found its way to both East and West, inspiring new forms and designs. Imagine a potter in one land learning a new glazing technique from a distant master, his craft forever changed by this shared knowledge. Think of the profound influence on religious art. As Buddhism spread along the Silk Road, it absorbed artistic elements from the cultures it encountered. Greek and Roman artistic styles, with their emphasis on human form and drapery, influenced the depiction of the Buddha in Central Asia, leading to a unique blend of Eastern spirituality and Western classical aesthetics. This fusion created new, powerful visual languages for faith. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the exchange of scientific and technological knowledge. Papermaking, a Chinese invention, traveled westward along the Silk Road, eventually reaching the Islamic world and then Europe, revolutionizing communication and learning. The compass, gunpowder, and printing techniques also made their way across continents, slowly transforming societies. These were the silent, powerful acts of alchemy, turning raw ideas into world-changing innovations. Feel the intellectual curiosity that drove this exchange. Scholars, philosophers, and scientists traveled the Silk Road, seeking knowledge, debating ideas, and translating texts. Imagine a Persian astronomer studying Indian mathematical concepts, or a Chinese physician learning about new herbs from Central Asia. These were the moments when ancient knowledge imbued, enriching the intellectual landscape of entire civilizations. Consider the subtle ways in which music and storytelling traveled. A melody heard in a caravanserai in some might be adapted and reinterpreted in a distant Chinese court. A folk tale from Persia might transform into a new narrative as it is told and retold along the route, each teller adding their own cultural flavor. These were the intangible threads that wove cultures together, creating a shared human experience. The Silk Road spirit, you realize, is forever intertwined with this process of exchange. It was not just about economic transactions. It was about the profound human capacity for learning, for adaptation, for creativity, and for sharing. It was a testament to the idea that diversity enriches, that difference can lead to innovation. and that connection fosters growth. Imagine the quiet dedication of those who carried these invisible treasures. They were not just merchants, but unwitting conduits for the flow of human genius. Their journeys, though arduous, were vital to the grand tapestry of cultural evolution. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the gentle blend of hues, the subtle, graceful flow of patterns, as art and alchemy of exchange softly grow across the ancient world. Feel the Silk Road's spirit, forever intertwined with the timeless dance of cultural diffusion. What challenges, though, did these peaceful exchanges face, as the pathways stretched across vast and sometimes perilous lands? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Asterisk, let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey along the Silk Road, not just with the beauty of exchange, but with the stark realities of its challenges, the quiet dangers that lurked on the horizon. Imagine now the vast open landscapes of the Silk Road, bathed in the soft, fading light of late afternoon. Feel the subtle shift in light as the sun begins its slow descent, casting long, deepening shadows across the plains and mountains. This is where peaceful journeys often met the coming night, bringing with it a different kind of presence, a sense of vulnerability. Picture the distant whispers, a chill upon the air, not of cold, but of apprehension. The Silk Road, for all its wonders, was never entirely safe. It was a network of ancient pathways that held dangers unseen, challenges that tested the courage and resilience of every traveler. As you breathe deeply, imagine the most common threat: bandits. These were not always large, organized armies, but smaller, desperate groups who preyed on vulnerable caravans. They lurked in mountain passes, in the desolate stretches of desert, or near secluded oases. Feel the quiet tension that would have settled over a caravan as it entered a known dangerous area. The heightened awareness, the silent vigilance. Think of the sudden ambush. Not a grand battle, but a swift, brutal attack. The shouts, the clash of steel, the desperate struggle to protect precious cargo and lives. The aftermath would leave behind a scene of quiet devastation, a stark reminder of the perils of the road. These were the human shadows on the horizon, a constant lurking fear for merchants and pilgrims alike. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the natural obstacles that also presented immense challenges. The vast deserts, like the Taklamakan, known as the place you go in but never come out, were formidable adversaries. Feel the scorching heat of the day, the freezing cold of the night, the blinding sandstorms that could engulf an entire caravan, disorienting and burying everything in their path. The lack of water was a constant threat, turning every oasis into a desperate lifeline. Consider the towering mountain ranges, like the Pamirs, often called the roof of the world. Imagine the narrow, winding passes, the sheer cliffs, the treacherous ice and snow, even in summer. The thin air at high altitudes would make every step an immense effort, and the risk of avalanches or rock slides was ever present. These were the silent, unyielding giants that demanded immense courage and perseverance to cross. Feel the profound isolation that could settle over travelers in these remote stretches. Days, sometimes weeks, could pass without encountering another soul. The vastness of the landscape, while beautiful, could also be overwhelming, fostering a sense of vulnerability and insignificance. The silence, normally soothing, could become heavy with unspoken fears. The diseases that traveled along the Silk Road also presented a silent, unseen danger. Smallpox, measles, and later, the Black Death, spread along these very pathways, carried by travelers and goods, devastating populations in their wake. These invisible threats were as deadly, if not more so, than any bandit or natural disaster. Despite these dangers, the trade continued. The allure of the exotic, the promise of wealth, and the insatiable demand for goods like silk and spices were powerful motivators. Merchants developed strategies to mitigate risks, traveling in large, well-armed caravans, hiring experienced guides, and relying on the protection offered by powerful empires. Along certain sections of the route, the ancient pathways held dangers, unseen, but they also fostered resilience, ingenuity, and a deep sense of camaraderie among those who dared to traverse them. The shared experience of overcoming adversity created strong bonds, a silent understanding between fellow travelers. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the subtle shift in light as the peaceful journeys meet the coming night, and the shadows on the horizon bring a quiet, lurking fear. Feel the ancient pathways holding their dangers unseen, yet still beckoning with the promise of connection and discovery. What other silent guardians watched over these routes, providing a measure of security against the perils of the journey? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we journey to a monumental presence along the eastern edge of the Silk Road, a structure that embodies both protection and separation. The Great Wall of China. Imagine now, not a bustling marketplace or a shifting desert, but a vast, undulating landscape of hills and valleys. Picture the ancient stone's embrace, a colossal serpent of brick and earth, winding its way across the land, disappearing into the distant haze. This is the Great Wall, a silent guardian, standing in its place for centuries, a testament to human endeavor and a symbol of defense. Feel its immense presence, its long shadow across the land it lies, stretching far and wide. The Great Wall was not a single, continuous barrier, but a vast network of walls, watchtowers, and fortifications built over many centuries by various Chinese dynasties. Its primary purpose was defense, to protect the settled agricultural lands of China from nomadic incursions from the north, to control trade, and to regulate movement. As you breathe deeply, imagine the quiet dedication of the millions of workers who labored to build this monumental structure. Farmers, soldiers, prisoners, their hands laid stone upon stone, brick upon brick, creating a barrier of immense scale. Feel the echoes of their effort, their sweat, their lives, etched into the very fabric of the wall. Think of the watchtowers, standing sentinel at regular intervals along the wall. Picture the soldiers, quietly keeping watch, their eyes scanning the vast empty plains for any sign of movement. Smoke signals by day, fire signals by night. These were the ancient forms of communication, relaying messages swiftly across hundreds of miles, warning of impending threats. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the dual role of the Great Wall in relation to the Silk Road. While it was primarily a defensive structure, it also played a crucial role in controlling and facilitating trade. Specific gates along the wall served as official entry and exit points for merchants and caravans. Here, goods would be inspected, taxes collected, and permits issued. This control provided a measure of security and legitimacy to the trade, making it safer for merchants to travel within the empire's borders. Feel the subtle tension between protection and isolation that the wall represented. It was built to keep certain people out, to define a clear boundary between the settled world and the nomadic steppes. Yet, at its gates, it also became a point of contact, a place where different worlds met, where goods and ideas were exchanged under the watchful eyes of imperial authority. Consider the wall as a quiet witness beneath eternal skies. It has seen empires rise and fall, countless caravans pass by, and the relentless march of seasons. It has stood through centuries of wind, rain, and snow, its stones absorbing the silent stories of all who passed through its shadow. Its very presence speaks of a long, complex history, a continuous effort to define and defend a civilization. The grand structure whispers tales of defense, of vigilance, and of the enduring human desire for security. But it also whispers of connection, of the ways in which even barriers can become points of interaction, places where cultures meet and influence one another, albeit under controlled conditions. Imagine the quiet vastness of the landscape from atop the wall. The world stretches out before you, immense and silent. The wind whispers past your ears, carrying the echoes of ancient voices, of distant journeys. The wall itself feels like a living entity, breathing with the weight of its history as you prepare to drift further into sleep. Imagine the great wall's silent watch, its ancient stones embracing the land, its long shadows stretching across time. Feel its quiet presence, a testament to defense and connection, whispering tales of the past. What other pathways beyond the land began to emerge, further weaving the tapestry of global trade? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we shift our focus from the ancient land routes of the Silk Road to the vast, shimmering expanse of the oceans, where new pathways for trade began to emerge, complementing and eventually surpassing the overland journeys. Imagine now the gentle oceans sway, a rhythmic motion that cradles you, carrying you across boundless blue. Picture the sun glinting off the waves, the vastness of the sea stretching to meet the horizon. This is where new horizons beckon far away, inviting brave sailors and ambitious merchants to venture beyond the known shores. Feel the wind, a whisper, on the breeze as it fills the sails unfurling, pushing ancient ships across the water. These were not the slow, patient footsteps of camels, but the swift, silent glide of vessels, carrying precious cargo and eager travelers to distant lands. This is where trade found new pathways across the boundless seas, creating maritime veins that would profoundly flow, connecting the world in new and powerful ways. As you breathe deeply, imagine the early mariners. They were not just sailors. They were explorers, navigators, and daring adventurers. They learned to read the stars, to understand the currents, and to brave the unpredictable moods of the ocean. Their courage opened up new possibilities, allowing goods to travel faster in larger quantities, and often with less risk than the treacherous overland routes. Think of the goods that traveled these sea routes. Spices, particularly from the spice islands of Southeast Asia, were a primary driver of maritime trade. Imagine the ships laden with cloves, nutmeg, and mace, their holds filled with the intoxicating aromas of the East. Porcelain, textiles, and precious woods also found their way onto these vessels, carried across vast distances to eager markets as you drift deeper into relaxation. Imagine the bustling port cities that grew along these maritime veins. Alexandria, Aden, Malacca, Canton. These were vibrant hubs of activity, where ships from different nations docked, where goods were unloaded and reloaded, and where merchants from diverse cultures met and exchanged information. The air would be filled with the cries of dockworkers, the creak of rigging, and the salty scent of the sea. Feel the profound impact of these sea routes on global trade. While the overland Silk Road was crucial for centuries, the maritime routes offered greater capacity and speed. They allowed for the transportation of bulkier goods, not just luxuries, and facilitated a more continuous flow of commerce. This shift gradually transformed the nature of global exchange, making it more efficient and far-reaching. Consider the way knowledge and technology also traveled by sea. Shipbuilding techniques, navigation tools like the astrolabe and compass, and cartographic knowledge were shared and improved upon. Ideas, religions, and artistic styles also flowed along these maritime veins, carried by sailors, merchants, and missionaries, further weaving the tapestry of global culture. The world's connections now profoundly flow, not just across land, but across the vast interconnected oceans. This expansion of trade routes led to a more integrated global economy, where distant markets became increasingly dependent on one another. The demand for Eastern goods in the West, and Western silver in the East, created a powerful economic engine that spanned continents. Imagine the quiet determination of those who risked their lives on these voyages. They faced storms, pirates, and the sheer vastness of the unknown. Yet, they were driven by the promise of discovery, by the lure of distant riches, and by the innate human desire to explore and connect. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine the gentle ocean's sway, carrying ships with unfurled sails across the boundless seas. Feel the new horizons beckoning, as trade finds new pathways, connecting the world in profound and lasting ways. What, then, became of the ancient land routes, as the world's connections shifted to the vast open waters? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Let your breath continue its soft, rhythmic flow, guiding you deeper into a state of profound calm. Your body feels utterly relaxed, sinking into the peaceful stillness. As your mind drifts, we reflect on the gentle, inevitable transformation of the Silk Road as its vibrant overland arteries slowly began to diminish, leaving behind a fading footprint in the sands of time. Imagine now the ancient pathways, once teeming with caravans and bustling with life, now bathed in a quiet hush, descend. Picture the subtle shift, not a sudden end, but a gradual winding down, like a river slowly changing its course. The vibrant flow of trade, once a powerful current, becomes a memory rare, a whisper in the air carried by the desert winds. Feel the quiet nostalgia for a bygone era. For centuries, the overland Silk Road had been the primary conduit for exchange between East and West, a lifeline connecting distant civilizations. But as the world moved onward, new forces began to reshape global trade, slowly diminishing the dominance of the ancient land routes. As you breathe deeply, imagine the primary reason for this shift: the rise of maritime trade, which we explored in our last chapter. The development of larger, more efficient sailing ships, coupled with improved navigation techniques, made sea travel increasingly viable. Ships could carry far greater quantities of goods than camels, and often at a faster pace, bypassing the treacherous mountain passes and vast arid deserts. Think of the economic advantages of sea routes. The cost of transporting goods by sea became significantly lower, making it more profitable to move bulkier items, not just luxury goods. This allowed for a broader range of products to be traded, further incentivizing maritime expansion. The allure of the overland journey, with its inherent dangers and slower pace, began to wane in comparison. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the political shifts that also contributed to the Silk Road's decline. The rise of powerful empires, like the Ottoman Empire in the Middle East, sometimes led to increased taxation, political instability, or outright conflict along key sections of the route. This made overland travel more perilous and less predictable, further encouraging merchants to seek alternative sea routes. Feel the subtle shift in focus. As the world's economic centers began to gravitate towards coastal cities and port hubs, rather than the inland oases that had once thrived. The ancient caravanserai, once bustling with activity, slowly fell into disuse. Their mud brick walls crumbling, their courtyards silent, echoing only with the wind. Consider the changing nature of goods themselves. As manufacturing techniques advanced in different parts of the world, the unique allure of certain exotic goods diminished. What was once rare and exclusive, like silk, might eventually be produced closer to home, reducing the need for long-distance overland transport. The Silk Road's fading footprint is not a story of complete disappearance, but of transformation. Some sections of the ancient routes continued to be used for local trade, connecting regional markets. But the grand, transcontinental flow of goods, the vibrant exchange that defined its golden age, slowly receded, becoming a memory, a legend. Imagine the quiet resilience of the desert, slowly reclaiming the faint tracks of ancient caravans. The sand dunes, once disturbed by countless footsteps, now shift undisturbed, covering the remnants of a bygone era. The mountains stand silent, their passes no longer echoing with the sounds of merchants and their animals. The world moves onward, driven by new technologies, new ambitions, and new ways of connecting. But the legacy of the Silk Road, though its physical footprint may have faded, remains deeply embedded in the cultural tapestry of the world. It taught humanity the power of connection, the value of exchange, and the profound impact of intercultural dialogue as you prepare to drift further into sleep. Imagine the quiet hush descending, where ancient pathways slowly find their end, and the vibrant flow of trade becomes a memory rare. Feel the world moving onward, leaving traces behind, yet carrying the profound lessons of the past into the future. What, then, is the enduring legacy of this magnificent network, and how does its spirit continue to connect us, even today? These thoughts gently accompany you as you sink deeper, deeper into the peaceful realm of sleep. Allow your body to completely surrender now, melting into the profound peace of your bed. Your breath is a soft, deep whisper, a gentle current that carries you effortlessly into the deepest, most restorative realms of sleep. The journey along the Silk Road, with its ancient pathways and vibrant exchanges, now recedes, leaving behind only the quiet echoes of its profound and timeless lessons. As your mind settles, let reflections gently bloom like delicate petals. Unfolding in the quiet morning light, we have traversed vast landscapes, imagined bustling caravans, and witnessed the profound exchange of goods, ideas, and beliefs. Now, In this tranquil space, you can softly consider the enduring legacy of the Silk Road, its timeless threads of connection that still bind us today. Think first of the spirit of exploration and curiosity. The Silk Road was born from the human desire to see what lay beyond the horizon, to discover new lands, new peoples, and new possibilities. This innate curiosity, this yearning for knowledge and connection, is a timeless aspect of the human spirit. It is the same spirit that drives us to explore, to learn, to reach out to others, even in our modern world. Feel the quiet wisdom from ancient pathways spun that reminds us of the power of exchange. The Silk Road taught that diversity enriches. When cultures meet, when goods and ideas flow freely, new possibilities emerge. Art forms blend, technologies advance, and understanding grows. This fundamental principle of mutual benefit, of finding common ground through exchange, remains a cornerstone of global interaction today. As you breathe deeply, consider the enduring impact on our daily lives. The spices in your kitchen, the silk in a garment, the very paper you might write on. These are all echoes of the Silk Road. The roots themselves may have faded, but the products, the innovations, and the cultural fusions they facilitated have become deeply woven into the fabric of our modern world. They are the silent, tangible reminders of a global past. Imagine the spread of ideas. Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, these major world religions traveled along the Silk Road, shaping the spiritual landscape of vast regions. Scientific knowledge, mathematical concepts, and philosophical thoughts also flowed between East and West, contributing to the intellectual development of civilizations. This continuous dialogue of ideas is a powerful testament to the Silk Road's legacy, showing how knowledge transcends borders. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the resilience of the human spirit, connecting everyone, even across vast distances and through immense challenges. The merchants, the pilgrims, the artisans, they faced deserts, mountains, and dangers, yet they persisted, driven by a deep-seated desire for connection. This enduring spirit, this capacity for perseverance and adaptation, is a timeless lesson. From the Silk Road, feel the harmony that can arise from difference. The Silk Road was a place where many languages were spoken, many faiths practiced, and many customs observed. Yet, for centuries, it fostered a remarkable degree of peaceful coexistence and cooperation, driven by the shared pursuit of trade and understanding. It reminds us that connection can bridge divides, and that mutual respect can flourish amidst diversity. Consider the idea of a global village, a concept often used to describe our interconnected modern world. The Silk Road was perhaps the earliest manifestation of this idea, a pioneering network that laid the groundwork for the globalized world we inhabit today. It demonstrated that humanity is, at its core, interconnected, bound by shared needs, shared curiosities, and a shared desire for exchange. The timeless threads of connection are not just historical artifacts. They are living principles that continue to guide our interactions. They remind us that every journey, every exchange, every conversation, no matter how small, has the potential to weave new threads into the vast tapestry of human experience. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, imagine these timeless threads, gently connecting you to the ancient past and to the vast interconnected world around you. Feel the harmony softly in your heart that comes from understanding these deep historical connections. Sleep now with wisdom, with peace, and with the gentle rhythm of ancient journeys in your dreams.